hello, everybody. It's already Wednesday, and it's time for our show. Happy to have you all here with us. Today's topic it is: Do spirits see everything we do? So, do spirits see everything we do? So, it's good. Let's see if we live in a kind of big brother or not, and let's try to understand from the spiritist point of view what this topic can bring to us. So, good evening, Ms. Gibbons. How are you, my dear?
Good evening to you, Stephen. Good evening, Charles. Good evening, everyone that's going to join us and all are already with us. Always a nice thing to do to meet all of you and to talk about important subjects in Spiritism that we're all learning about. And hope we're going to have a good meeting as always. I'm sure. And if everyone wants to participate, give their ideas or ask questions, we'll be happy to answer if we can. We can research again and answer at a later date. So hope everyone is well and looking forward to the work today.
Good. Bonsoir, Charles.
Bonsoir, Stephen. Bonsoir. Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone. Also very happy to be here to share some all these thoughts about the spiritist body of knowledge, which helps us so much in our life, so much in our path to evolution and to happiness.
Good. Wonderful. Let me show our video today.
We don't need anybody to say to us what is doing good, what is doing bad. So at that moment when you did that action, you act as a free will. We do have the free will, but this free will is limited according to our knowledge, according to our conscious. It's hard when someone comes to you, try to explain something and you don't understand. Perhaps it's because you have not enough experience to understand that. So you need to live a little bit more. And we need to stop to judge everyone, because everyone is in a level of evolution. We need to be more tolerant to everyone. We need to extend the hand, even though at that moment that person is not ready to receive all knowledge. In your own pace, you build up with your actions, with your conscious, with your way to decide to live.
Okay. Okay. So, let's say good evening, Louviam. It is with us. Good evening, my dear. Thank you for watching us. So, do spirits see everything we do? As I said at the beginning of our show today, do we live in a big brother? So everyone is watching what we are doing. Everyone is some people helping us, other people not helping at all. But uh, in certain level, they watching us, they can influence ourselves in our decisions, in our actions, all related to how are you tuning yourself, all related in the baggage you have formed throughout your current life and previous lives. A combination of all these results in what you are today. So, Charles, it's unfair. Like the spirits can see us, influence us, and we cannot. Of course, those who are not medium don't have clairvoyance, all this, but we cannot see the spiritual world. We can we cannot be there. So, do you think it's a kind of unfair this situation?
Depends on the point of view. You see it. A lot of people, they don't think there are spirits, so they just don't care. They live as if there would not be spirits existing. When we die, everything is finished, full stop.
Mm.
Then you have a next step where the people start to believe in spirits. And then, there are some ghosts, there may be some spirit influencing me. They don't know what the spirits are. They don't know the law of affinity, what attracts the good spirit and what attracts the bad spirits, and vice versa. So they start to get somehow a little bit concerned. And then you have the third category, which is the people who study it already, the spiritist body of knowledge. So yes, we know that the soul survives to what is dead. So this is a good thing, because death is not the end of everything. We will see our beloved one again, and so on. We know also that these spirits are like us here incarnated. You have good persons with good so they when they discarnate, they are giving good spirits. And there are bad persons, tricky, violent, dominating, and so on. And when they die, of course, they can be in a period of trouble, but as soon as they leave this period of trouble, they will not become good spirits just because they die. They will stay somehow like they were when they were incarnated, isn't it? So this is, of course, indeed making a lot of people concerned. Wow, the spirits are here. And there is a question in the spirits book which is very interesting, the questions 4, 5, 9. And there Kardec asked, do the spirits influence on our thoughts and our actions? That is a question he made. And the answer of the spiritual mentors at that time was on this subject. Their influence is much bigger than what you think normally, because often they are somehow guiding or leading you. So it's of course showing what the reality is. And so this, of course, is not just like that in the spiritist body of knowledge, because spiritist body of knowledge, we have more knowledge about the spirits. Yes, there are good spirits. Yes, there are also tricky spirits, spirits even with bad intentions, willing to jeopardize us and whatever. But we know also what we should do in order to keep this bad spirit at a certain distance, not to open the door to their influence on us. And basically, the best way to do that is, if you want to put the bad spirits a little bit aside or close the influence they can have onto you,
It's my internet or his internet, Silvia?
You
Do you see?
should
You're in a mute, my dear.
I think it's his.
Yeah.
seek the influence of the good spirits by doing good, by learning. Yes, I'm back. Sorry, are you here?
Yeah, now we're back.
Do you
Yeah.
hear me, Stephen?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
I don't know what happened, if it was only me out or everyone, but okay. I didn't see anything anymore. Yes, so we know what to do in order to keep this influence of the spirit under control. So you told it's unfair. It's unfair because we don't see it. Okay, we don't see the air, but we breathe the air. Huh? Without the air, we would die. There is a lot of things we don't see. We don't see, for instance, the cosmic rays, but they are here. Huh? There are a lot of things that we don't see with our sense of vision, but that are existing, isn't it? So if you don't see something, but you know it is existing, even without seeing, you can somehow protect you, prevent you, do whatever is needed in order to live with that. You see, for instance, in the 19th century, when the mankind invented the microscope, and we started seeing, oh my gosh, look how many small acadians, animals, and microbes and bacteria and whatever. So it was a huge panic. How can we survive with all this? We survived already since millennium with all this. But the fact to know that there are microbes, bacteria, animals, parasites, and so on, this introduce hygiene. Hygiene is it correct word, Sylvia? Hygiene, hygienic. So to wash the hands and so on, to make so
it's hygiene.
Hygiene. Sorry. Hygiene. So we know instead of being afraid, okay, what can we do to protect us better against them? And that is then how a lot of things, because in the 19th century there were cholera, a lot of diseases, epidemics here even in Europe, in Paris, and all this disappeared with the time, thanks to the acquisition of knowledge we had in order to protect us. So here again, you could say it's unfair. There are a lot of small organisms which can jeopardize us, but it's unfair because we cannot see them. But we found a way to cope with them. And the same applies for the spirits. We cannot see them in normal conditions, but we can, once we know they are here and what they can and cannot do on us, we know also what we shall do in order to prevent bad influences and to seek good influences. So I don't think it is unfair. On another hand, what I think is, between us, between humans, you can have people lying, you can have people with hypocrisy, you can have people with masks simulating something in order also not always with good intentions, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So how do you see that someone is a hypocrite in has no second intention, or showing you good intentions and in fact having bad intentions? It's not written here on the head on the display as well, not. So this also could be unfair. Nevertheless, we have to live with it. We have to cope with it. And look what is good, because in the spiritual world, this does not exist anymore. Okay? Because the spirits can perceive directly what you are thinking, not even saying, thinking. They can read in your thoughts. So in the spiritual world, hypocrisy does not exist anymore. There is a huge transparency. We fear some, no, because I have a lot of things to hide, whatever. Okay, good. Here on the earth you can, but you cannot hide anything to the spirits. Okay, so there we will have to live in full transparency. So if you are clean, if you have nothing bad on your conscience, if you are not thinking something wrong, there is no problem with transparency. At the opposite. Only the people with bad intention are reluctant to transparency, isn't it? So, of course, we can. There is something we have to say here. With IA, with all this, the cams and the automatic recognition of the persons, like they do in China, in order to make the police towards the people. So it's always depending what you want to do with this transparency. If you use the transparency of someone in order to focus, for instance, advertisement, or even to make to target bad actions on you, of course, that's a red line we should not allow here on earth. But in the spiritual world, it's a rule. The rule is a full transparency. So let's prepare us in this way. If we are very clean, we have nothing to hide. If we also know when there are spirits with bad intention, which can even read in our thoughts, how can I control them? How will they try to influence me? How can I detect the influence of a bad spirits, having bad thoughts or bad intentions, or how to say, induce or encouraging our selfishness or pride or whatsoever. Okay, so this can only come from a bad spirit. So we have to be we have to watch all what the thoughts which are coming, and the thoughts which are not good, or which takes us, so to say, to helps us in order to encourage our selfishness and our pride, for instance. Let's take the thoughts and put them aside, and let's seek for the thought of the good spirits. So it's concerning, but we can live with. And I would even say more, we will live much better being aware that about this rule of transparency in the spiritual world.
Good. Thank you. Thank you, my friend.
You're welcome.
It's important to understand this. And Sylvia, since we have this influence, how to differentiate my thoughts from influence from the other, from other spirits?
Well, the way the Spirit teaches us is that the first thought that comes usually is ours. The first thought that appears in our mind, it usually is ours. But then we have the others' influence as well. That's why sometimes, especially I think at times that we have to make decisions that are important or something, we almost have a battle inside ourselves. You think something, I'm going to do this, and then there's another thought saying something completely different, and we get very confused. And sometimes we can get very, very confused with this, because we have all these different ideas coming into our mind as well. And I think when, Charles gave a very good explanation, because I think at those times what we need to do is to calm ourselves, sit down, and to think what the first thought came, what do we have to do, and analyze the thought that's coming in. Would there be something that would be good for me to do? Does it say something that maybe the first thought I had, it might not be the best way to deal with this? And I think if we just stop and meditate on the influence of that's coming to us, because as we have all sorts of spirits, and as Charles well explained, the spirits that are around us, and we have them all the time, like in question 459, that Kardec says, the spirit says, well, the influence upon your thoughts and your actions is greater than you can ever imagine. And if you think about as well, Paul, and I think in the letter to the Roman, in one of them, he said that we are surrounded by
witnesses.
By witnesses, by a multitude of witnesses, and that's exactly it. So sometimes the thoughts that are coming to us are from our friends, are from our good spirits, coming from a guardian angel, that maybe the decisions that we are taking or what we want to do, it might not be the best thing for us. And, sometimes I'll wait, do something in a different way, stop, think about it first, decide, measure out. Sometimes the influence that we are receiving is very good, and from spirits that really care and love us and wants to see us to do the best we can. But we can, I think we are able to really differentiate the kind of thoughts. If someone, because I think one of the main things here is that although the spirit is discarnated, it's a human being, maybe we don't see them because they're in the spiritual world, but after all, we are also spirits. And while we are here on this planet in a physical body, we are a spirit living a material experience. So if we were talking to a friend, I have to do this, I have this decision to make. If you go to a friend, you would listen to their advice, see what they think about certain situation, and then afterwards you wouldn't do exactly what they said. You would stop to think as well about it. I wonder if what they told me is the best way. Does it go from what I was saying? We're always measuring out, so we have to do the same with those, our friends or enemies that we don't know. And if someone advises you to do something that within yourself, you think that's not the best thing to do, you wouldn't feel comfortable doing it. So I think you say, no, this is about the influence and I'm not going to listen to it. And I think that's, we have to measure out the thoughts that are coming to us. And how would I feel if I do this way? Or how do I feel if I do it the other way? So we need to make a choice, because after all, we have a free will, which is God-given for us to make the good decisions or whatever, if it's something wrong. Because in a way, nothing is lost. Even the things that we do wrong can serve as an example, can help us to progress, to understand, and to make better choices next time. So although we do have the influence, it's ultimately is our own responsibility what we do, which way to follow. And I think if we saw spirits as a friend, do I listen to my friend? What kind of advice he gave me? Do I feel happy with what they think maybe would be good for me to do? And we make the choices. If maybe, sometimes you have friends, but have you thought about doing this, or have you thought about that? Have you thought about the consequence? Will you be able to cope with what is going to happen? Sometimes we have friends that are really helpful and they really care for us, and they don't tell us what to do, but they point out things. If you thought the consequence, what are you going to do if you're going to do this and this happen or that happen? How will you feel? And we make the decision ourselves. And I think even though we do have this multitude of witnesses, we do have the spirits that are around us, and Charles was saying there is no hypocrisy, because the spirits, they know what we are thinking. But, as I said, ultimately is our decision, is our free will. That's God-given, and nobody can take it away from us, unless, someone is suffering from maybe a very heavy spiritual influence. We always have a free will to make the decision ourselves. So if we follow a suggestion that was given and we have bad results out of that, we are responsible, because no one forced us to do anything. We did it because we chose to do it. So I think that's important, because if there is one thing that we really need to learn in this earth, is to take responsibility for our actions. And I think it's so easy to, some religion, everybody blames the devil, or he made me do it because he's evil and he told me to do it. And the poor devil has to put up with all this. And then we ourselves in spiritism, sometimes you hear, the obsessors, they were around me telling me what to do. No one takes responsibility for what they do. Say, no, yes, maybe I was influenced, but I did it because I wanted to. They cannot do it for you. They, with spirits, or if a friend incarnate or discarnate, or the devil, whoever it is, they cannot do it for us. It's our responsibility. And I think if we take on board the right things and the wrong things that we do, take responsibility, because I think, towards when we progress and we will become a superior spirit, and then a pure spirit, and we will become a spirit of light, because, according to the Spirit's book, it's our destiny. It will take maybe a long time, millennia and billions of years, or whatever, but we will achieve it. And it's our own work. We can be advised, we can be inspired, we can be controlled by negative thoughts, but it's our own decision to make whatever it is. And I think as soon as we take on board that we are responsible, it will be easier for us to control maybe some of the thoughts that are coming in that doesn't feel right for us. Whatever, incarnate or discarnate, because we have friends as well that can, people that we know that can give really bad advice, can't they? So in both planes of
The
life.
incarnate ones give you very bad advice,
Usually, yes. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And it is good to say, for example, this is a good exercise to know ourselves, because you need to know to differentiate what is your thought, what is not your thought. What's the way you used to think, what's not the way you used to think. If something completely different from the way you deal things, hey, something happening here. So how to connect yourself, how to make yourself more tuned in order to receive good vibrations. And saying that, I think you come up to my next question. And Charles, in what ways can a spirit positively or negatively affect our emotions, our mental health, and what steps can we take to protect ourselves from this harmful spiritual influence? You're on mute, Charles.
That's a good question. I mean, how do we protect us here on Earth, incarnated, against bad influences? It's we just avoid places or people or TV channels or social media or whatever, where we know we can receive bad influence, isn't it? And instead, we go and seek the places or the people which can give us good influence. So it's exactly the same with the spirits. Do you want to do you want to keep the bad spirits at a certain distance? So do whatever is necessary to attract the good spirits. When the good spirits are coming, the bad spirits are going automatically. When they try to bother you, for instance, to influence you to drink or to smoke or to take drugs or whatever, if you refuse, if you oppose your strong will, no, I will not do it, they will not insist too much. Most of them will leave and go to seek someone which is easier to influence. So it's exactly what Sylvia said. It's up to us to listen or to not listen. So it's more or less like here on the earth. What are the ideas we are adopting or not? Is it good ideas or is it selfish ideas or violent ideas, whatever? The law of affinity works everywhere. So it's up to us to tune to the good things, to what is positive, to seek this good influence. And that will then automatically reduce, I don't say eliminate completely, but reduce the influence from the bad spirits. Now you can ask, okay, but how do I know what is good and what is bad? How do you know what is good and what is evil? Well, we have an excellent reference for that. Again, a lot of excellent reference for that. Every religion is encouraging some moral teachings, isn't it? Spirit is body of knowledge as well. And the moral laws, which is book third of the Spirit's book, is teaching us what is in harmony with the laws of nature and what is not in harmony with the laws of nature. So we should really, and with a lot of hints, by the way, for instance, law of society, how do we live in society, law of freedom, law of reproduction, and so on. So we get there a lot of hints for our day-to-day life and situations to reflect, food for thought. Yes, I understand that is what I should try to do. But okay, I should does not mean that it is so easy to do. It takes some time and effort until we get, for instance, we know it's not good to get angry and to explode. Somehow we lose control. Okay, but do it. It's more quicker said than done. But it's a question of time, a question of perseverance, a question of effort, a question of will. We may fail several times, but there is a point of I managed to control and not to get angry, not to lose my control, my self-control, my emotional control, emotional intelligence. I did not lose my emotional intelligence. So you did a step towards that. And then, of course, you can have you have periods where you are better, periods where it's more difficult. You can fall again in the trap. But then you know, okay, I know it's not good. So with the time and with the effort, you manage to control yourself and tune yourself to what is good, to what is positive. And doing that, you will automatically enter into this virtuous circle, where the good spirits will come and help you in your good decisions, and you go out of the opposite vicious circle. I mean, the spirits trying to influence you badly. If you don't answer to this influence, they will simply either move away or even listen to you and become better, So it's again up to us to make this choice. And with these good references, that of course is not exclusivity of Spiritism body of knowledge, that we can find everywhere. Do unto the other what you would like the other to do unto you. No violence, taking care, educating the children, and so on and so on. There you have the references of what is good. And it's up to then to us to use your free will and our will in order to get more possible in synchrony with these good things. And that is the best prevention, that is the best vaccine.
Yeah, the vaccine. Yeah. Yeah. You're right.
Spiritual vaccine.
The spiritual vaccine. Yeah.
But
So
I
good
think,
evening, Hipólito
sorry.
Rebolo. Go ahead,
Yes.
Maria.
No, I was just thinking, because it's the question that you proposed was very interesting in the sense that how do we know? I mean, we have within us, request 621 of the Spirit's book, when Kardec asked the spirits, where are the laws of God written? And the answer from the spirits is always very concise and straight to the point, in your conscience. So we have within each and every one of us our own compass. It was given to us. It's part of who we are, to know what is right and what's wrong. And I think it's always a perfect law of thumb that, would I like anyone doing that to me? How would I feel if someone behaved towards me like that? How would I feel and how would I like someone doing that? And I think that it's would answer, how we should treat people and how we would, have consideration to other people's feelings. Because, within each one of us, we have already this measuring. And also, I think, thinking about one of the important things that Jesus said in his teachings, watch and pray. Watch what you do, first of all, what your actions, because we know that we live in a world of action and reaction. So if we do certain things, we are going to have certain reply, certain things will happen to us in consequence of what we've done. So if we watch what we do, if we respect, we consider others, and if we measure out how I would feel someone did that to me, then we can control what we do ourselves and also what the influences are. Because then if we start doing that, we will have less influence from the negative side and more from the positive side, that will give us more clarity of mind and understanding for us to lead our lives. And watch and pray is something very, very important. We can always pray to God, or we can, always talk to God. We can ask God for things and talk to him at any time, and I think that's it's very much a way of seeing which way to go and what to follow, how I would feel, and watch and pray. Because I think I've told you before, I had that experience of leaving a friend's house a bit late in the evening. It was a late evening, and I always walk that way, always, because it's easier to go and get the bus. And that day, as I left her house, I just heard it saying, "Take the other way today." And I just, I shook my hand and continue and went the way and then the voice was so hard, and take the other way, take the other path. And I sort of stopped and I got a bit of a shock. And then I went the other way. That was a long way around, but was, is the main road and everything. And I knew I was being advised. The first time I ignored, and they were so very, very, they made sure I understood, the way the voice told me, go the other way. There was no way I could ignore that anymore. And I've been there so many times since, and I always go by the side road, and I never had heard that again. So that day I was being protected and taken care of. And that was a very good lesson, because when I feel now something like this, do something else, think about this, don't do this way, I listen, because we do have a good friends. It's this multitude that surround us are not all enemies. Most of them are friends, are those in the spiritual world, maybe are members of our family, friends that we left when we incarnated, and just a guardian angel and good friends and good spirits that are helping us and protecting us. I think we need to be aware that there are good spirits there, and if we mean well, if we do the very best that we can, and if we think, yes, how would I feel, then I wouldn't do that to other person, most of them will be good. Don't you think, Charles?
Exactly. But we always say the God's laws are written in our conscience, but there are a lot of people which are so-called inconscient. They don't listen to the conscience, isn't it?
Mhm.
That's one of the issue. But as soon as you start listening to your conscience, then you have a very good guide to keep you in the right track, in the harmony with the natural laws.
But I think this is actually is very important, because we know some of the things that happen, that people could not be listening to their own conscience. Although, and this is true for what they do, but it doesn't mean that they are not going to have to bear it afterwards. Because
Yeah.
I think one of the main things that Spiritism teaches us, that nothing is forbidden. Spiritism said, you don't do this, you can't do that, you can't do that. He said, you're free. God gave you free will to do whatever you want. You choose what life you want to lead, but be prepared to put up with the consequence of whatever you do. And I think, unless someone, because some people are mentally ill, we know that. We know that, maybe because of their past lives or whatever happened, they make very, very unhappy, very poor choices. But it doesn't, eventually, each and every one of us will be responsible for what we do, even if maybe for a period of time, whatever was the reason, and everything, this also will be considered in the final judgment of it. But is our responsibility. It's always up to us to choose the path we want to. So, give a little bit of a little break to the devil, He's not responsible for everything. Most
Yeah.
of the time we choose.
Good. And so, good evening, Laurie Sue Clement. She said, this is fascinating to hear your insights. Humanity is merely one form of life with its own reasons to incarnate. It seems this concept is overwhelming for humankind to conceive of this, however. Thank you, Laurie. Yes, we are all the same. We are just in different form. Like it's like water. Sometimes it's liquid, sometimes it's evaporated. You're in a mute, Sylvia.
No, sorry, I was just thinking aloud what you were saying. Sometimes it's liquid, sometimes it's solid, sometimes it's a gas,
Yeah,
sometimes becomes plasma.
yeah, exactly.
There's so many more now.
Yeah, yeah.
But Laurie is
Uh,
right. I mean, it's overwhelming because the same reaction when we discovered all these microorganisms. It was also overwhelming. But at the end, huh, we are living much healthier today, knowing of those things. So it's overwhelming at the beginning when you discover it, but then using our intelligence, we learn how to live with in the best possible way, and we end up much better. So all what is fear, we need to work with our intelligence in order to replace the fear by self-control, prevention, doing whatever is necessary. When there is a fire and an explosion, most of the people, they run away. But the fireman, no, he comes, he faces the fire because he has the intelligence, he knows what to do, where the risks are, and he fixes the problem most. So it's just this. Yes, the spirit exists. Yes, they can see or perceive everything we do. Yes, we have to get used to this transparency. So yes, we have to do whatever is necessary to attract the good ones. But isn't it so good to know, for instance, my mother? She can see or perceive, but because see is not the right verb, better to say perceive what I'm doing. She can perceive when I have a problem. And what would my mother do when alive, when I had the problem? She would come and help me. So what does she do now that she is on the other side? She perceives I have a problem. She comes and helps me. Isn't this beautiful to know that? So it just, we know it. Let's make use of it. Let's take this opportunity, and it will really help us to do a quantum jump in our evolution and progress.
And this is kind of came across what was I was about to ask. What's the role of our guardian spirits in our life in this situation? Because
So
at the same time,
this one is always behind us, always aside us. It's his duty to protect us. Okay, even much more than the mother. Mother is of course a mother, but the guardian angel, no, he is responsible to assist us all throughout our life. So when we have a problem, when we feel bad influences, let's tune with him, with our guardian angel. Let's make a prayer for him. Let's call him. Doesn't care if it's Peter, Paul, or Matthew, or whatever, or John, or the name is not important. We know that we have a guardian angel. Let's tune with him, and then we will be protected. But he is here, more evolved than us. We need to make the effort to come closer and to tune better with him. At the same time, when we make this effort, we neutralize the influence of the spirits which are on a lower grade. Everything is a question of syntony, of vibration, resonance, whatever you call it.
Good. Yeah. Let me say, Laurie said something to us here. Yes, quite comforting to realize we are not alone, to realize there is knowledge, sources watching and aware.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true, because we are never alone. And if we ask for, our guardian angels and good spirits to help us, they will help us. They will guide us, and they will be with us. And I think one of the things, sometimes, God was not there. God was not with me. And God is always with us, always, through our friends, through spiritual benefactors. God is always, and we are the only ones who can move away from them, because sometimes, because of the choices we make, the things we do, we may go away from them, and they wait until we come back. And like Charles said, if we call on them, they will come running to help us. And like Laurie says, it is true. It's very comforting to know that we have people who really, really care for us, and that we are not alone. But thinking about thoughts and being seen, I think, I'm not sure if it's in the book of André Luiz and Chico, workers of eternal life, they go and visit this place, Andrea, Ippolito, and the other one, and Hilario, actually, Hilarious. And then his mentor says to him, be very careful. They go into this big hall, someone was going to come and speak, and they're all there. And so his mentor said to her, be very careful what you think here, because your thoughts will be reflected on the wall behind you. I remember when I read that, I said, oh my God, imagine if this were to happen here. And I think in a way, I think you need to discipline our thoughts, because thoughts are pure energy. It's extremely creative. We can plasm something when we think, when we really focus on something. All the energy that goes from our thoughts, you can actually create something. So I think when Jesus said, when you see someone you've already seen, just by thinking about it now, the explanations that the spirits gives us, is because our thoughts is pure energy and is created energy. So that's why, in many of the therapies, they said, think positive, change the way you think, always think that's good, always think what is going to be good for you. And that's why, because we create with our thoughts what we want. I remember I knew someone, whenever she left the house, she'd say, when I get there, there'll be a parking space for me. It's a silly thing. But not if you live in London, it isn't actually. So she would say,
it's becoming tough.
when I get there, I'm going to the theater. I'm going to find a parking space nearby. And funny, I don't know what she did, but she always got a parking space. I said, how could you get a parking space near Leicester Square? She always would get it. So I think in a way, she created that energy. It's a funny story, but very, very rarely she wouldn't get a parking space, which is a miracle, really. If you live in London, you would know.
Yeah. So let's see if you have any other.
Yeah. I think just one thing very quickly, if I may. Laurie says here, we as humans are simply not meant for perfection. Rather, we are meant to learn. Yes, we are meant to learn, but ultimately we are meant for perfection. That's what we are going to be. That's what we are. We are beings of light, created by God's love and God's light. And our destiny, I always forget the number of the question in the Spirit's book, when Kardec asks the Spirit, will everyone progress? And the answer from the Spirit was, is your destiny. So we are meant for perfection. We are going to be perfect and spirits of light and pure spirits. And it will take some time, and it depends on each one, but we are meant to be perfect, to be light, because that's what we are really already, isn't it?
Yeah.
Absolute perfection, only God. But of course,
yes,
we get always higher in the relative perfection. And of course, is by learning that we are going that way.
Yeah.
And maybe just a small remark. In French or in Portuguese, I think we say it's better to be alone than with bad company. I don't know if this exists also in English, Sylvia.
Better alone than with bad company, I think.
Yes.
Something like that.
Yes.
Yes, there is an expression in English as well.
So we can understand it better with all what we said, of course. But the thing is, we go beyond that. It's let's seek the good company to avoid the bad companies, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let change my behavior, let change my attitude, let change my way to think in order to seek a good company.
Exactly.
It's a kind of self-transformation.
Because we also have that expression, tell me what you, I think Dr. Marlene in her book, Obsession, she says, tell me what you think and I tell you who you're with.
Exactly.
You know, because it's our thoughts who attract. And I think it's very important for us to realize that is our own thoughts, our own behavior, our own actions, our own way of dealing with things that attracts to us either the good spirits or the ones who doesn't want us to be happy. You know, and I think if we make an effort to do the best we can within possibilities, we make mistakes. You know, we all learning with the process of learning, and we make mistakes, and that's not the problem. But if we always try our best and to do, you know, what we would other people to do for us, if we have this as a measure in for our thoughts and actions, we always will be helped. We always will be, you know, the good spirits will always give us a hand and everything. And also those who are around us who maybe want to harm us in some way, want us to make mistakes, they will learn. Because if they are there and seeing that we are trying our very best, first of all, if they don't really want to, you know, want harm, they will move away because we're trying to do good and will be helped. But some of them will be able to teach them as well, be able to help them to see a different perspective, because they see, you know, if when you really mean well in your heart and in your mind, you will be able to help other people as well, others in spirit who may be surrounding us. You know, they'll change their ways, you know, and that's a big responsibility as well, I think. I feel for myself, you know.
Yeah, correct. Okay, it's our time.
It's amazing how quickly it seems to go, doesn't it?
Exactly. You know, I look at it
Oh
here,
my
16
God,
o'clock. I said,
an
wow.
hour. Oh, it's time to go.
Yeah. Let me see. Yes, the evolution of our spirit has a divine purpose, Laurie said.
Yes.
Yes, my dear. Yeah.
We're created to be. Well, Jesus said we are gods. You can do anything I do and much more.
Yeah. Okay, so next week our topic will be: do we need reincarnation to evolve? Do we need the reincarnation to evolve? So next Wednesday, 9 p.m. UK time, 10 p.m. France time, 21st of August. Do we need the reincarnation to evolve? So I hope you like the topic, spread the word, and we will be here to understand what's the role of reincarnation in our lives, and if we need it to evolve, how we can evolve. Can I say, okay, I don't want to go back and stay there? Let's understand it. Okay, so
good night as well to everyone. And thank you for Laurie for participating. It was really nice. And everybody who took part today. And God bless everyone and have a blessed week.
Thank you so much.
Merci, Charles. Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.